What is up, guys? This is OG Ho Champ here, and I'm bringing you our team builder for what I believe is week 5 now of the UBL already. So it's gonna be the Phoenix Suns taking on the Victorville Victinis, and this is definitely gonna be a hype match. I can definitely promise you guys that. So without further ado, let's jump right into the uh, team builder, and let's look at Victorville Victini's team. This is coached by the Shiny Victini, so no surprise in the team name there. He has a bunch of threats. Definitely a very scary looking team. So let's go through it. His first OU pick is Manaphy. Very scary Pokemon. Has decent bulk and is able to set up the uh, Tail Glow. Get that +3 special attack. Very, very scary for sure. The only thing is, if he can't set up that Tail Glow, he's not that strong. Um, but he could very well run a leftover set, um, bulky with things like Toxic and other sorts of attacks. So he doesn't have to run the Tail Glow set, but he definitely should. That's one of Manaphy's strengths. Um, I definitely expect him to bring that. Uh, so next is Kieran Black. Very scary threat. I'm surprised this didn't go first round. Um, like completely honest. Uh, and this thing is just terrifying because it can run a Scarf set and absolutely obliterate everything. Definitely expect him to bring this also this week. Usually runs mixed because it has no strong ice type physical stab. Uh, and yes, so usually runs Outrage or Draco Meteor, and then usually Ice Beam, Bolt Strike, and it can run a couple other attacks. If he's smart, he'll bring Psychic for Mega Venusaur, because otherwise he can't really touch me. I guess Terravolt does negate Thick Fat, so that's a problem. So Ice Beam will be super effective and do normal damage, but I still think he'll either do uh, I think still he'll either run Psychic or Earth Power as his final attack if he decides to run Scar. Next up is Tyranitar, fantastic rock setter, definitely really strong in that. Not so good in anything else, and I mean it doesn't really match up well against my team. He doesn't have anything that can really take advantage of sand either, except for maybe Archeops. Uh, so definitely don't expect him to bring that. He very well could. Just I don't think it's his best option, especially with my Terrakion lurking around, able to one-shot him, and the Kieran Black. Come to think of it, definitely good. But seriously, nothing really wants to take a hit from Kieran Black on my team. And you'll see, I definitely have responses. All right, so after Tyranitar, we have Florges. Florges is a really great special wall, and it just really, really takes a lot of power to break through it, especially with Wish and Protect, Aromatherapy, Toxic. It can run. Moonblast is always a great attack against a lot of Pokemon. It can also run Psyshock. I'm pretty sure I mentioned Aromatherapy as a cleric. It could also run a Calm Mind boosting set, which he might bring. He's brought it in the past, and he might bring it this week as well. But again, I have Jirachi. I have a lot of responses to it. Definitely think I can handle it if he brings it, but he might just bring it just for the Terrakion, because definitely it matches up well against Terrakion. Um, I forgot I have Clefable. Clefable definitely matches up well. No, not that well. Okay, yeah. So next is Nidoking. Nidoking is really strong. Actually, yeah, that's right. That's why I didn't bring Clefable, because Nidoking basically runs circles around Clefable. With Life Orb, Sheer Force, Sludge Wave, it pretty much just OHKOs that guy. It's a very scary threat. Does a lot of damage against Terrakion. Can really hurt Venusaur. I mean, it can almost 2-hit KO Venusaur with Sludge Wave. Even Mega Evolved. It's just a really scary Pokemon. It has a ton of coverage, like Ice Beam for Hydreigon. It can run, let's see, Earth Power for Entei and for Jirachi. Um, it can Earth, and also Earth Power for Terrakion. Thunderbolt for Blastoise, and yeah, it's just a ton of coverage, a lot of special attack, especially with the sheer force boost. Very, very scary Pokemon. So next up is Gudra. Very great special wall. Same thing as Florges. Just for different Pokemon. Florges is more for Dragon types, for Ice types, for anything that really it is like would normally be good against Dragon types or anything that it resists. And Gudra is good on the other end for anything that Fairy would be able to hit would be able to hit Fairy like Poison, like Steel. So they work very well together. The only problem is that they're both special walls instead of one being physical, one being special. They could work together well in that sense, but I don't think Gudra's going to come. But if Florges doesn't come, I think Gudra's going to come. So one of the two will come. I do think Florges is more likely. Next up is Cofagrigus. Very, very good physical wall. Has Mummy, so it can get rid of a lot of abilities like Serene Grace on Jirachi or Justified on Terrakion. It can even get rid of, well, I'm not going to be running a physical Clefable set, otherwise it would get rid of Magic Guard as well. Could get rid of Pure Power on Medicham. Definitely could get rid of Sturdy on Donphan if I knock off. And honestly, Entei's ability I don't really worry about that much. But yeah, Cofagrigus could be a good response to Terrakion or Jirachi. Other than that, I don't really think he has much use for it. I do think there's a good chance he'll bring it. So definitely got to keep that in mind. Next up is Tangrowth. Don't think he's going to bring it this week. Tangrowth gets just obliterated by Entei. Gets pretty much destroyed by most forms of Hydreigon. Jirachi can stall it out. Even Terrakion can do a good chunk to it. And it just gets hard walled by Venusaur. So Tangrowth, not a good choice, in my opinion, for this match. Definitely think he's going to go with something else. Next up is Bronzong. Bronzong is an option for him, definitely in order to set up Stealth Rocks, in order to set up screens. I think it gets Rapid Spin, but don't quote me on that. Has Psychic, which is something I'm a little bit worried for Venusaur, but even if it brings Psychic, Venusaur still walls him. I mean, granted, Venusaur can't do much to him in return, but he still has that option, and I don't think he's going to bring it, in all honesty. Next up is Omastar. Against most teams, I would say this is a fantastic Shell Smash Sweeper. Against my team, Venusaur walls it so well. I mean, because it gets Ice Beam for coverage, but even with that, Thick Fat negates the super effective. So usually its standard set is Surf, Ice Beam, and Earth Power with Shell Smash. But with Venusaur, you can't really get a super effective hit. You can't kill him even at +2, and Venusaur just one shots with Giga Drain and gets most of its health back. So I don't think he's gonna bring Omastar. Definitely. So next up is Archeops, and Archeops is a decent Pokemon. Gets Flying Stab against Venusaur. Can outspeed Terrakion with the Flying Stab. Do I think he's gonna bring it? Probably not, in all honesty, because Archeops is just an awful Pokemon, and against Venusaur, it takes a Giga Drain and then it gets the Defeatist. It gets stunned by Defeatist, so that's a problem. Emolga, he definitely could bring, but I think he might bring it just because he's brought it so many times. But I don't think he'll bring it against me if he's smart, because I just have so many responses for it in the form of Terrakion with Stone Edge, in the form of Venusaur to just wall it. I mean, it could do a decent amount to Venusaur, but I also have Jirachi. It can't really touch Jirachi outside of maybe a Thunder Wave. And if I bring Ditto, I could just copy that Motor Drive. Simple as that. The Pokemon I do think he's going to bring, though, is Scissor, Mega Scissor, which just can run circles around my team, especially with Bullet Punch against Terrakion, against Clefable. It can run Knockoff against Jirachi. Superpower for Hydreigon. The only thing that really hurts it is Entei, but it can just switch out from Entei into something like Gudra. or even Florges, or even Heatproof Bronzong if he wants to bring that, or Manaphy, because Manaphy matches up really well against Entei. So without further ado, here's my team, and I'm going to explain why I brought some Pokemon, why I didn't bring others. So here we go. We have Farah, the Terrakion, Lunatic, the Jirachi, Vineyard Vines, the Venusaur, Bowser, the Blastoise, Control plus C, the Ditto. First time I'm bringing him this season. And Alduin. Actually, second time I think I'm bringing Ditto. And also Alduin, the Hydreigon. So let's get right into these sets. So Hydreigon, Terrakion. I am bringing a Scarf set this week because I am terrified of that Choice Scarf Kyurem Black. And this will 100% outspeed that and anything else he has on his team that wants to try to take a hit from Terrakion. Now, I understand he'll have Scissor, and I understand he'll probably have Pythagoras in order to take the hits. But even so, Scarf Terrakion just puts in so much work against his team. I brought Close Combat for the Kyurem, Stone Edge for the Pythagoras for the Molga, Earthquake for the Nidoking, Iron Head for the Florges. This thing just can run complete circles around his team. Adamant, so I can maximize damage output and still outspeed anything. And yeah, max speed investment otherwise. Next up is Lunatic, the Jirachi. I'm running the most annoying set I could possibly run this week. Thunder Wave, Iron Head, and Fire Punch just to deal with Scissor, and U-Turn to get a little bit of momentum. Once I get a Thunder Wave off, it's pretty much easy pickings at that point. I outspeed the Nidoking and can get an Iron Head or two off, and I think 2 Iron Heads will 2-hit KO. Otherwise, Earth Power will one-shot me, and that's terrifying. But yeah, I also have U-Turn to predict the Pythagoras switch in, also to get some momentum. Yeah, and overall, this is just a really hacksy set. I don't think I'm going to need to hack him too much, but if I need to, I will. And also, Thunder Wave is great against the Manaphy because once that is crippled, I can easily just revenge kill it with Hydreigon. I could even bring it in with Ditto and like copy its stat boost. So definitely a good set. Running Adamant because after a Thunder Wave, I will outspeed anything that I wouldn't outspeed earlier. So definitely looking forward to that. Next up is Vineyard Vines, my Mega Venusaur, back again as the wall, the solid defensive wall, able to take outrages, able to take bullet punches, bug bites, really anything. And even on the special defensive side, it is nothing to sniff at. Just because Nidoking will not be able to Oko, definitely. Florges is helpless against this thing. Manaphy, it has to run Psychic to even dent me, and Pythagoras does absolutely nothing. So definitely a good response to a lot of his team. Full physical investment. Hidden Power Fire and Synthesis this week. Pretty standard set. I'm pretty sure I brought this against those games as well. So definitely a pretty standard set for me, but one that I just find is so effective just because the coverage is so great and so few things can touch it. Next up is Bowser. Now this is full special defensive invested, Hydro Pump, Rapid Spin, Toxic Protect. I wanted to run Assault Vest so badly, but I needed something with Toxic to deal with the Pythagoras, because otherwise that thing could just Will-O-Wisp me and Pain Split and just stall me out for days. But with Toxic up, I can destroy him very slowly, albeit, but I can definitely still destroy him. Now, if I can keep this thing above 50% health, I will be able to Oko the Nidoking with Hydro Pump, or come very close in any case, which is something I need to definitely keep in mind. The reason he is special defensive instead of offensive is because I already have responses for Kyurem Black, so I don't need a physical wall, although he will take Ice Beams very well. But also, I am able to take a Thunderbolt from the Nidoking and live at about 45 to 50%. So if I can stay above that percent, I can take out Nidoking with Hydro Pump. I'm able to Rapid Spin away any hazards from the Pythagoras. and then Toxic protects all the Pythagoras if need be. Definitely can do that. And running leftovers just to increase my survivability. Next up is Ditto, standard set. Choice Scarf, max HP investment because that's the only thing you don't copy from your opponent. And yeah, there's not much else to be said about Control C except I love the name. Yeah. Next up is Alduin. This is our last Pokemon. Just standard Life Orb set. Hopefully Jirachi will be able to spread around those Thunder Waves, paralyze a bunch of stuff, and then Draco Meteor obliterates the Kyurem Black. Flamethrower is for the Scissor, so I can one-shot it. Dark Pulse is for the Pythagoras, that almost OHKOs it. And Flash Cannon for the Fortress. Very straightforward set. This is a very standard team. Now, I did not bring the Entei because I felt like I would be baited into staying in against like the Kyurem. And I think he's just going to over prep for Entei instead. Also, Nidoking matches up very well against him as well. But otherwise, I just think Entei, he's going to way over prep for Entei, so not bringing it is really just going to throw him off guard. And the other Pokemon, Clefable, I'm not bringing Clefable because of Nidoking, because Scissor, and because Manaphy. It's just setup fodder for Manaphy as well. So I just thought it wasn't a great bring. Let's see. I also could have brought Donphan, but Donphan just doesn't match up very well at all. Kyurem Black can out OHKO with Ice Beam because it ignores Sturdy. And yeah, it's just the other Pokemon that I could have brought were not great responses to a lot of teams. So I think this team is going to really put in the work. And yeah, we're going to be going up against the Victinis real soon. So leave a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think of this team, and if you think that I'm adequately prepared. And hopefully your Phoenix Suncurrents will pull out another win. Here's hoping. So this is OG Hoenn Champ signing off.